friends, welcome once again even to my channel, Treasure Builders with Shola Morofulu. I hope you learned quite a few things even in our last episode on the introduction to brain development. In this particular episode, we'll be looking at cognitive development in children 0 to 6 months, as well as the red flags to watch out for in these children. And when we are talking about the cognitive development, the milestones in cognitive development, there are some things that we ought to watch out for. And remember that in the last episode, we looked at the fact that children learn a lot by doing, using their senses to explore the environment, for them to get to know more about certain things. Remember, we used the candle flame as an example of how children will learn, using the sense of touch that fire is hot and it's a no-go area. So today we'll look at some milestones to expect even from children of this particular age group. And the first thing we need to know is that children of this age group, they learn by doing. They learn by doing, they learn by looking, they learn by hearing, touching, grasping. So in other words, they make use of their senses a lot. For instance, when a ball is picked and the ball is thrown up in front of the child, after some time, the child, having observed that the ball is always thrown up, gets to a period in his life, he picks up a ball and starts throwing the ball up, because he has observed by looking that balls are thrown up, or balls, probably saw somebody kicking the ball, and before you know it, the child starts kicking or using the hand even to move the ball. Also, between 1 and 2 months, they can explore objects and patterns thoroughly. They know some things that they ought to do, some patterns to follow. For instance, in probably they are eating, they can always make a choice, not even by talking, but by refusing to actually take certain things. So they are already building a pattern for themselves in that particular area. Then we have what they call that at 5 months also, they should be able to recognize their names. When you call them, they are able to respond to their names. They can do that by smiling. They can do that probably by stretching forth their hands to be carried. But they usually respond to their names even at 5 months. Apart from responding to their own names at 5 months, they can identify the features of their mother very, very well. They can recognize the mother's smell, the mother's face, as well as the mother's voice. So when a child between these months hears the voice of the mother, the child can respond in different ways. It could be by smiling, by giggling, by laughing, or it could even be by crying. Peradventure, the child had been sleeping and suddenly hears the voice of the mother. The child can put up so many acts to show that, yes, my mother is around. Even the smell, the child at this point in time is expected to identify, recognize even the smell of the mother. So they can differentiate between their mothers and other women around them. Then at this period, they carry out a lot of repetitive actions. We have what we call repetition of chance behaviors. And in the process of repeating certain actions, they get to come out with some interesting behaviors as well. For instance, a child most times just sees this around, and we said they learn by doing as well. But it sees that most times this is used in feeding or it's taken to the mouth. So a time will come after so much trial and error that the child can actually pick up the cutlery himself and use it to take food or substance, or even without food, take it to the mouth, because he has learnt and he has seen over time, and with repetition, probably initially he just uses it to play, drags it on the floor, but after some time, through trial and error, it takes the fork to the mouth. The same thing with the drinking cup also. Probably just be playing with the cup, and suddenly a time will come, the child will just carry the cup to the mouth. That means after so much trial and error, the child is able to perform the act that the cup is actually meant for. And the same thing probably with the use of the balls. The child sees the ball rolling on the floor, does not know probably what the ball is meant for, but after some time, while crawling, the child starts running even after a moving ball. So it shows that their cognition is being developed. Now, what are the red flags to watch out for in children of this age when it comes to their cognitive development? The first thing is that when the child is unable to discriminate or explore objects, for instance, the child cannot discriminate between these two objects. We know the fork is used for eating, the cup is used for drinking. But when a child between 0 to 6 months cannot differentiate what these two objects are meant for, or the uses of these two objects, then it's a source of concern, it's a red flag. Also, when the child cannot discriminate faces, cannot even discriminate the face of the mother from other women around, it's also a red flag, because like we mentioned earlier, it is expected that at this age they should be able to discriminate the mother's face, the mother's smell, the physical features, the facial features of the mother. But when the child is unable to do this at this age, then it's a red flag, it's a source of concern. Apart from that, when children at this age do not respond to sound, and they learn by hearing, by doing, we've mentioned that. So when they can't respond to sound, when the child hears a heavy sound and the child is not moved, there are certain sounds that children will hear, maybe suddenly, and they'll probably start crying or just put up an act or something. But when a child between this age group is unable to respond to sound in whatever form it is, it's a red flag. It's a serious, something that needs to be seriously looked at, because it could be an hint that there's an impairment in the hearing of such a child. So when we notice such things, such a child needs quick intervention from the specialist. Then when a child is unable to do what we call visual tracking, cannot move the eyes with an object, the eyes is sort of fixed. It is, when a child sees a ball, for instance, and the ball is moving, the child should be able to move the eyes along even with the ball, or any object. But when the child cannot do that, that's even when the object is moved, even from the visual range, the child is not following the object, it's also a source of concern. It could also be a pointer that there's something wrong with the sight, and proper investigation needs to be carried out in that area. And lastly, to round up this discussion on the red flags, when a child does not respond to his own name, at this point in time, it is expected that children should be able to respond to their names. So when they are around 5 and 6 months, when we call their names, they should be able to respond. Even if they can't answer, yes, mom, yes, dad, they will smile, they will laugh, they will giggle, or they will smile. But if they can't do any of these things, when we call them, then it's a red flag and it's a source of concern. I hope these few tips that we've mentioned today about the cognitive development of children 0 to 6 months will help us, will guide us in watching out for certain things to expect and those things that the children are not doing properly. So at this point, I want to come to the end of today's discussion. Don't forget to like, to subscribe, and to share the video with friends. It will help us even in the creating of the awareness, even concerning how child development affects even their learning abilities. So once again, thank you for watching.